It's 12 noon in London, 7 a.m. in Philadelphia, and around the world it's time for...
It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show. It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show. It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show. It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Let's start the party.
Good afternoon. Well, hear ye, people of Wrexham Town. How the devil are you? What's happening? Lovely weather as usual. Welcome to the show. This is the Stage and Screen Show live on Calon FM in and around the Wrexham area. Good afternoon to you. So I apologise, I don't know what happened at the top of the hour there with the news, but I know you're all going to be really upset about that. But it'll be back at 1 o'clock, don't panic. In fact, I'll have a look on BBC News website, shall I, and see what's going on around the world. Some dreadful news, some terrible news going on today. But anyway. My name's Andy Snowden, as I say. This is the Stage and Screen Show, and it does exactly what it says on the tin. It is all music from stage and screen, and anything you might have seen on your television box. And if you've got anything you want to say about it, you can get in contact with me. Of course you can. Andy Snowden at Calon FM Stage and Screen. That's on the Facebook page. Andy Snowden at Calon FM Stage and Screen. That's how you do it. That's how it's done. Or, if you're feeling really posh, you can go to Twitter. Is it still posh to be on Twitter? I don't know. That's just at Calon FM. Deathly easy. Andy Snowden, music from stage and screen. That's what it's all about.
You're listening to the Andy Snowden Radio Show. Oh, he's gorgeous.
Keel was laid. Roll Alabama, roll. Oh, roll Alabama, roll.
The mighty bellowhead roll, Alabama roll.
Calon FM on 105 FM. Community radio at its best.
So, as I say, this show's all about music from stage and screen and anything you might have seen on your television box. And today we are joined by a very good dear friend of mine, Elizabeth Guest. I've known her for years, I have, and I will have a little chat with her in about, what should we say, 5 minutes time, something like that. If you've got any questions for her, and I'm sure you will have, get in contact with me, Andy Snowden at Calon FM Stage and Screen. That's Andy Snowden at Calon FM Stage and Screen. That's on the old Facebook. An ex-professional actress. I think you might be. Are you still acting? Are you still doing that? No, shaking her head. But yeah, jack that in, doing something rather special these days. We'll talk about that right after we hear from the mighty Rent. FM.
How do you document real life when real life's getting more like
I absolutely love that show. That is Rent, of course, and that was taken from the motion picture soundtrack back in 2005. Still doing the rounds is Rent. Brilliant.
Calon FM on 105 FM. Community radio at its best.
So today I am thrilled to be joined by a local lass done very well for herself, and that is actress Elizabeth Guest. And after spending much of her teenage years with the prestigious Clwyd Youth Theatre back in the 1980s, she went on to train as a professional actress at the world-famous Central School of Speech and Drama in London. Then enjoying a string of acting roles at the likes of Emmerdale, Coronation Street, the Ellen Pascoe, and playing Elizabeth I in the star-studded BBC drama The Prince and the Pauper. And she also had theatre appearances that would make any young actors' eyes water, including a season in the West End of London. Now, since then, she spends most of her time being a wife and a mother to 2 young boys, and has become a counsellor and life coach, amongst other things, to help many young actors and veterans of the stage and screen alike with the struggle with the anxiety-ridden business we like to call showbiz. Welcome to the show, Elizabeth Guest. Hello, darling.
Hello, darling. Thank you very much for my introduction.
Well, what about that for an intro? Does that sort of make you go, oh my God, I sound like I was quite busy?
It does. Even though that spans about 30 years.
Yes, exactly, yeah. But and I cut most of your CV out of there. So out of all those things that you've done, which was your favourite, do you reckon?
I think definitely Elizabeth I in The Prince and the Pauper. It was a BBC drama.
Yeah.
It was written by Julian Fellows, who went on to write that thing called, do you remember something called Downton Abbey?
Oh, vaguely, yeah. Wasn't it absolutely huge?
It was kind of... some people might have seen that.
Yeah.
Anyway, he wrote it.
Was that like one of the first things he wrote then, was it?
One of the first things he ever wrote. And interestingly, he doesn't have it anywhere on his CV, so... Oops.
That says it all, really. Well, I didn't even know you were in it, to be honest with you. And I've known you for yonkers, as they say. I haven't heard the word yonkers for ages. I don't even know why it's popped into my head.
It's because that's when we used to know each other.
That's right.
In the 80s, when he used the word yonkers.
Yes, I got love for you if you were born in the 80s. Good song. So anyway, let's go back to the 1980s.
Yes.
And when you were just a young sort of... What was you doing before you joined the Clwyd Youth Theatre? Because that's where I met you.
I was in school.
So you didn't have a rigorous lifestyle?
No, I actually went to Hammond, which some people might know about, the dance school in Chester.
Oh, did you?
I did, yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I was a
you're
dancer
posh.
to start off with, yeah.
Oh, were you?
I boarded there.
Yeah.
And then when I was about 14, I hurt my knee, so I couldn't dance anymore.
Oh, right.
And I sat out for about 3 or 4 weeks watching all the dancers, and I thought to myself, you know what, if I carry on with dancing, I'm so bad that I'll be near the back. There were some really good dancers, and I thought, I'm going to be near the back. I don't want to be near the back, so I'm going to leave this school. I went to Harden High, which is where you also went. Yeah. And I joined the drama course there. Right. I did GCSE drama after school. Yeah. And did it a year early, I think. Right. And the teacher, Gwenda, was the person that kind of got me onto the whole drama thing and introduced me to the youth theatre, which changed my life.
So you didn't do any acting before you did the thing at Harden High then?
I was always in school the person that would write themselves a monologue and perform it, whether the people wanted to hear it or not. You know.
What sort of things do you reckon you would have written about in those days?
I'll
tell you what I did after. Go on, you can go first.
it was so, the thing that I can remember was so embarrassing, but it was basically, do you remember that at the time there was a show called, I can't, is it a French show where the French Resistance?
Well, Les Mis?
No, it was a comedy show.
Oh, Allo Allo.
Hello.
Yeah.
I did a skit of that, I think.
Oh, right.
As a monologue.
God.
Yeah.
That's quite adventurous.
Yeah. It was for some history project that I decided to turn into a me show.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
What did you do?
Drugs. I was a smackhead, and
you were. What did you do before you went to the youth theatre?
Oh, what you mean in school? I thought I was talking about that project that you're talking about. I don't know. What did I do? Well, my mum's got a dancing school, hasn't she? So,
right.
So I was heavily involved in that.
Yeah.
You know, from the age of, 3 or something.
Really?
Yeah, literally from when I could walk, I was dancing.
Wow. And tap, modern, ballet?
All of that. Not ballet. No. My dad drew the line at the ballet. Although my brother, my dad's not sort of, we're not doing that. But my brother was into ballet.
Yeah.
I just couldn't take to it at all.
Right.
But I did modern. I did tap, which I really enjoyed, and ballroom as well, Latin American.
Did you have a partner?
I did. Her name was Louise.
Oh,
yes. And now we're
shout
friends.
out to Louise.
Yes, we were actually North Wales champions at one point.
Really?
Yeah, junior. I am there. Yeah.
Gosh, any pictures?
Yeah, but you're not seeing them. But my auntie and uncle, they're from Connaskey, Warren and Helwyn. They were on Come Dancing.
They were.
Before it was a Strictly thing.
Right.
Yeah, they did all that. They did all the, and we were the first in our family to have a colour telly. back in the early 70s, and
What you need for Come Dancing.
Everybody came round to our house to watch them on Come Dancing.
Gosh.
Everybody in the streets, all our family.
Wow.
It was a party. And annoyingly, we can't get hold of it anywhere. We tried.
Oh, has anyone out there got a copy?
Of Warren Elwin on Strictly, about 1972, I think.
Please send it in.
Yeah, but I worked at the BBC, and I've even asked there, and they just burn them. I don't know why they burn them. Nowadays, I suppose they just keep them all on computer, but in those days...
Oh, they tape over it.
Yeah. And you go, oh, no,
we
don't
need
do that.
that.
Yeah, I was after that. The one thing I wanted. Yeah. Can't believe it. So you went from, so Gwenda at Harden High, she introduced you to the
Clwyd Youth Theatre.
Clwyd Youth Theatre, right? And did you go an audition for a course? Is that what you did?
Back in the day, you had to audition to go on the course, which was held in Bangor.
Yeah.
It was a 2-week course, and it was incredible, really, that you could take young kids off for 2 weeks to do what they love.
I know. Well, my kids now do something similar, but with the youth choir, National Youth Choir, they're in that. 2 of them do that. The other one's not interested. But but I was looking back, weirdly, and I'll put it on my Facebook page if anyone's interested, a video of, not the video that you sent me, another video of, like halfway through the course on a Sunday, we'd have an open day, all the parents would turn up and all, we'd have all that malarkey. And somebody made a video of it, and it's quite tedious if you're not interested. It lasts a long time, it's about like 3/4 of an hour. But I was looking at it last night, and all the gang was sort of having a look at it as well, and I said, brilliant, look at this!
I got to see
Fantastic. Yeah, I love a reminisce, mate.
Oh, I love a reminisce.
Reminiscing is my favourite pastime.
I love it.
Brilliant. So anyway, so you auditioned to get on a drama course.
I did. I think actually I did Once a Catholic first, which I think was actually a Clwyd Theatre.
Yes, it was.
But it was amateur dramatics, and they needed young kids because it was set in a school.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got in, and kind of made my way into kind of being accepted on the course.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Had to audition.
Yeah, I know. I remember Once a Catholic because we were just talking about it obviously outside. But I mean, me and a friend of mine, we were sort of dragged in to do the technical side of it just before I went to drama school. Actually, so it would have been 1989, and then we went up to Glasgow and won in Glasgow with that international festival. Do you remember?
Yes. Thank you for reminding me. Good
excited.
old reminisce. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah, very strange. I didn't even know it was a competition.
I didn't.
And it was held in Glasgow, wasn't it? We were there doing this thing, and then suddenly they went, and the winners are... Really? Us?
We only came for the cake.
Oh, brilliant. So the Clwyd Youth Theatre, as I said in your intro there, it became quite prestigious.
It did.
Before it all folded.
Yeah.
But, because when I went to drama school, I was amazed how many people had heard of us. Big people in the business, and they go, "Oh yeah, Clwyd Youth Theatre is massive, bigger than the National Youth Theatre almost."
I think so, because I was in my year. I think there was 3 of us.
Yeah.
And the year above that, there was about 3. So each year had 3 or 4 people from the Clwyd Youth Theatre, and the National Youth Theatre would have about the same.
Yeah.
But that is a massive national youth theatre.
Yeah.
And we were competing, up against that lot.
Yeah. And when you think as well, because when I was at Guildhall, there was 3 of us in my year, 3 of us above, and then there was 3 who had just left. So that's 9. And bearing in mind, like 6,000 people or something ludicrous audition for 26 places.
Yeah.
And 3 of us from each year got in. I mean, that is unbelievable.
Yeah. I don't know whether the figure's 6,000. I think it's more like 2,000 at the time.
I think it's 6 now, to be honest.
6 now.
Yeah.
6 now.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be an actor now.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I don't think the competition was quite so high then.
No.
But the difference was there were more jobs then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Than there is now.
That's true. And it's a really tough business, isn't it?
Ooh, tough. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, because it's just one of them businesses. If you're doing all right, you're doing all right, and if you're not, you're not. Mind you, sometimes if you're doing all right, it's still horrible. But anyway, we'll talk a little bit more with Liz. Let's just get this right with your name, by the way, because I know you as Liz O'Brien.
No, you don't know me as Liz, do you?
No, I guess that's true. There we go. I know you as Zib O'Brien.
Yeah.
So we've got Liz O'Brien, Zib O'Brien. Now you've got married. Like a lot of my friends on Facebook, and you don't know who they are. Now you're Liz Guest, Elizabeth Guest, or Zib Guest, Zibby Guest. What can we call you?
Well, why don't you just go for what everyone calls me now, which is Zibby.
On the radio? Oh, all right. Zibby. We will call you Zibby. There you are. Zibby.
Write it down.
Zibby Guest. I'll try and say it without laughing. There we are. I did actually say to Zib the other day, I don't want to upset your mum by calling you Zib on the radio, and she said it was my mum that christened me Zibby.
Exactly.
Have you got nicknames for your kids?
Nothing that I can repeat on air.
Oh, right, it's like that, is it? Well, my mum called me Andy Roo.
Oh, sorry.
Because of Andrew. And then that became my name.
Actually, I do call my my son Ronnie Roo.
Ronnie Roo.
After you. Named after you.
Of course.
Yeah, because that's what you were called in the youth theatre, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Andy Roo.
Andy Roo, yeah. But spelt with a double O. I don't know why that happened, but...
Yeah.
And then even to the point of when I was working as a professional actor and I had to sign autographs sometimes, I would sign Andy Roo. How pretentious is that? Anyway, we will talk to Zib a little bit in detail about what goes on at the Central School of Speech and Drama. It all sounds absolutely delightful, darling.
Calon FM on 105 FM. Community radio at its best.
Where is he now? Jimmy Nail, Crocodile Shoes, back in 1994. That 94. Now you feel old, don't you?
Calon FM on 105 FM. Community radio at its best.
You're listening to the Andy Snowden Stage and Screen Radio Show. Broadcasting around the world. And in Rosa Medre.
So, there you are. So that's, well, I was going to say that's Simon. do you recognise who it is?
Simon Ellis.
Oh, hang on a minute. Sorry, turn your mic up. That'd be
Simon
more
Ellis.
polite. There we are. Simon Ellis.
The wonderful voiceover of Simon Ellis.
Yes, exactly. He's a good mate of ours, Simon, and he contacted me a while ago and he said, I've done some jingles for you. And that's what those are. I love them. Absolutely love them. They're very popular with the listeners, I heard.
Oh.
But anyway, yeah. So anyway, we've got Elizabeth Guest with us this afternoon, and done very well for herself, working as an actress back in the 1990s and the early 2000s. But has recently jacked it all in to become a councillor and a life coach. But before any of all that, you went to drama school, darling.
I did.
I say that, right, and it really annoys me that when people, if you say to somebody, do an impression of an actor, they always say, hello, darling, I'm being a tree. And two things, I don't really know anybody that says, hello, darling. And I don't,
do.
And I...
You've said it to me about 3 times since we've been here.
I know, but I'm joking, darling. But I've never known anybody have to be a tree. Have you?
I have had to be a dog and a gorilla.
Oh,
and
that's central for you.
We had a whole term of zoo study where we had to go to the zoo.
Oh, yes, we did that.
Yeah. We go to the zoo for a whole term. And watch an animal. I was given a gorilla.
All right.
Because obviously I look like a gorilla.
Of course you do.
Yeah, I'm...
It wasn't much of a stretch, that wasn't fair.
Exactly. So I watched this gorilla, and I was a bit of a swot in drama school, actually, not like most people who saw zoo study as a chance just to stay at home.
Yeah.
I actually went to the zoo.
Oh, I did as well.
Come rain or shine, I was there watching this gorilla.
Yeah.
And at the end, we had a showing. And it was like an hour or 2 hours of being a gorilla.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, I got actually headhunted to be in a film.
Really?
I did.
What was the
film?
film?
I was in my second year. The film was Fierce Creatures, which was the sequel to A Fish Called Wanda. It was John Cleese, Jamie Lee Curtis, Kevin Kline, another actor you never heard of at all.
Yeah.
And I was a gorilla for 5 weeks over the summer. I was a gorilla in this film.
So you did it. You did that film.
I did the film as a gorilla, yeah. And when I was paid very well. For a student.
Yeah.
I bought a car off the back of that one job.
Good God.
Students, I was used to eating
I bet you were
Tesco
popular.
value fish fingers.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And trying to, walk into college because I didn't have any money. And then just after my zoo study, getting this job.
Well, that's amazing.
Amazing.
Well, there you go. Anybody that's going to Central, or indeed Guildhall, because we did it as well.
Choose the gorilla because at least, well, actually, no, you'll never get cast as an animal anymore because of CGI.
Oh, right, of course.
It'll never happen. You'll never have to dress a human in the equivalent of a duvet cover and make her sit outside for 8 hours a day.
So do you know can you spot what bits you did as a gorilla?
Yeah. I'm say to my
I've
kids,
got to say,
that's
this is
your
the
mum.
weirdest conversation I've ever had.
Yeah.
But you could say that, there's me, and there's me again. In the back of your mind, they've cut me out.
I can tell which gorilla I am, but I can because I remember the pain of sitting there.
Yeah.
I had cystitis at the time, and it takes an hour to get into the costume, an hour to get out. So I wasn't allowed to go to the toilet until lunchtime.
Oh my God!
So I just sat in the gorilla costume. You couldn't see my face because it was all animatronics.
Right.
So you couldn't see my face. I was just crying the whole time.
Oh, God.
I
had the same predicament when I was doing an advert for Vodafone.
Yeah.
And I put that on Facebook last night as well. I'll post that onto my Facebook page. Andy Snowden, Calon FM, Stage and Screen, if you're interested. And so I'm dressed as an ugly sister.
Oh, nice.
Massive big dress.
Yeah.
Looked ludicrous. Couldn't go to the toilet. Couldn't eat. Couldn't do anything.
How long were you in the costume for?
About a month. That's how it felt.
Every time you get offered a cup of tea, you say no thanks.
Oh yeah. Don't even pour water near me.
Dehydrated.
Yeah. Well, in that zoo thing, I was a what was I? A red crown crane.
Okay.
Not just a normal crane. Don't get confused. A red crown crane, and But I used to go a lot to the zoo because we were given free tickets, weren't we? Free passes.
Yeah, a free pass, a 6-week pass or something.
And I took Janet Janet, my wife now.
Yeah.
We would just start going out with each other. So we used to go on a hot dates every Sunday to the zoo
to see
the animals, and then and on the way home we'd go and have an Indian or something on the way home.
Nice.
Lovely. Yeah,
nice.
Good. You can see why she fell for me.
Oh, absolutely. It was the crane impression that did it.
Yeah. What did you see in Andy? The red crown crane and poppadoms. Every time I think of him. Yeah.
So can you do it for us now?
Absolutely, yeah.
And I will voice it for you. So go on.
You do the voice.
Okay, of the red crown. You're going to move.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Well,
ready?
I won't stand up because I'm headphones
won't stand
on.
up.
I'll just do the head.
Okay. Andy is twitching his head to the side. Andy is twitching his head. Ooh, he's banging. He's banging his head.
This is brilliant on the radio,
microphone.
this, isn't it? Just so you know, I'm brilliant. Oh, absolutely amazing.
I thought that you'd actually left the room and there was a red crane sitting there. That's how convincing it was.
I shouldn't have done that.
Here's my gorilla.
Hey, that is good. You can see.
Yeah.
You're completely different.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
If anybody meets Zib in the street, ask her to do the gorilla for you.
Yeah.
Do it again. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, a lot of practice. And also, when you're a gorilla, you have these really long arms that like stilts.
Oh right, yeah.
So you have to learn to walk on stilts because they've got tiny little back legs and long front legs.
Right.
So I had 6 weeks in training,
Yeah.
running around a hall on these these stilts.
We did a weird thing at the end of the term where we sort of turned the drama department into a zoo.
Yeah,
and
that's what we did, yeah.
People would walk around, and they'd walk in and go,
yeah, people could come in and watch you.
I tell you what, I don't want to be a name dropper. You know, Ewan McGregor.
Yes, I do. He was in your year, wasn't he?
He was in my year, but before I had to leave him back. But he did a leopard.
Was he good?
Brilliant.
Was he?
Oh my God, it's the best thing I've seen him do. He was absolutely amazing. And there was another lad as well who was quite stumpy.
Yeah.
And he was a giraffe.
Yeah.
And you looked at him and thought, he looks like a giraffe. It was weird.
He definitely went and did his research.
Yeah.
I bet Ewan McGregor was there every time.
Yeah. If he wasn't, he's done well with his imagination.
He will have. He's one of those actors who does his research, you know.
Yeah. Well, he did the thing because what do you call them in a gym on the side the wall bars.
Oh yeah.
And the wall bars went about 20 feet in the air.
Yeah.
And he walked on his hands and feet.
Yeah.
Along, and he looked at the top, walked along the top.
And
incredible.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So
brilliant.
the reason behind that animal study, everyone's thinking, why the heck would you go to drama school and do animal study?
Like most of our mums and dads probably.
Yeah.
You did what?
But the reason behind it, apart from trying to get yourself into a film, was that if you could get into the mind and the body and the thought process of an animal, then you could easily do that into another character. So it was taking it right back so that you weren't trying to speak lines. You were actually, how does this animal breathe? How does it think? What's its thought process? Why does it move its head so quickly? Why does it sit there slowly? Who's its predator? Those kind of things.
Yeah.
What does it eat? And so you got into the character of the animal. So, and that's probably why he was able to, do something that was actually humanly impossible.
I think you're right. Have you done that thing where when you're trying to find a character as a human being, and the director will say, think of a lynx or something, or think of a gazelle, and that's how that's how that person moves.
Yeah.
And also anybody, I think as well, if you own an animal, if you got a dog or whatever. I mean, we got a dog, and we treat her more like a human than anybody else in the family. I mean, it's ludicrous. Don't come round to our house; you'll talk about us. But but you can you sort of take on their emotions.
Yeah.
In a bizarre way, and when they're ill, I mean, it's worse than when the kids are ill.
I bet she shakes if you say you will.
No, she doesn't shake. She just goes and hides and looks, and you go, "Oh my God, here we go. This is going to cost me."
I should have insured her as a puppy.
Yes, we should have done. Winnie lost her last summer, and she swallowed a stone. And
why do they do that?
Oh, God knows.
Don't they? You have to get the.
She's quite famous in the village now.
Really?
Everyone will go, "How is she, lad?" Nobody
asks. I bet that cost you a pretty penny, that stone.
1,500 quid. I know. It was the money we'd put aside for Christmas. Yeah. So we didn't have Christmas this year.
No, all because of a bloody pebble.
I know. Zip Swan.
Sorry.
1-0. So did many people in your year at college, did they become like super, super big, or was it?
I had Martin Freeman was the year above me.
Right.
Who I think he kind of did all right for himself, didn't he? A few hobbits under his belt.
What's he doing now?
Oh, he's always working, isn't he? I heard him on the radio the other day. He's got his own show. Andy.
Everybody has these days.
It's not as good as yours. It's on Radio 2. It's about because he's really into his music. He's a mod, right. Isn't he?
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he's got a whole thing, and he's released an album.
Yeah.
His picks. What? His picks of
oh, right. He hasn't sung on them?
No.
Oh,
no.
Right. Everyone seems to be doing that these days as well.
No, he just picks some things and then he sells it as an album.
Right.
Well, that's what you can do when you're Martin Freeman.
Yes, I suppose you can.
And also, I've forgotten her name, but Little Mo out of EastEnders. She was in The Year Above Me.
Mo. Oh, she's only young?
No.
You're not talking about the old woman? No, hold on. Mo as in...
We'll find out. We'll get back to you when we've Googled her.
You don't know a proper name. So she was in the year below you?
She was in the year above.
All right, okay.
Yeah, but actually my year was actually the turnout. We all did really well to begin with, and then most people are not acting now.
Yeah.
They're just kind of... I got one friend who was in my year. She's gone on to win an Oscar as a writer.
Wow.
That's pretty awesome.
That's very good.
Yeah, Rebecca Lenkovich went on to be a writer. But actually, in acting, no one in my year has, after all that money and all that effort...
I know, but it's the odds of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I look now, and I go to Theatre Clwyd quite often to see stuff, and I barely see anybody I know. You know, I see people who have sort of, you know, trained at Guildhall, so I can have or some sort of rapport with them.
Yeah.
But nobody I know. No. You know, it's. But I mean, we had some really good lads in our place and girls. We had a lad who's James Bond, lives by you.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Him. I can't remember his name. Daniel Craig. He was in the year above me.
Yeah.
And this is going to get boring. Anyway, because we're going to go that bloke who did Damien Lewis.
Damien Lewis
was in the year above as well.
Yeah.
And of course the lads and lasses from the Clwyd Youth Theatre.
Of course.
Sean Jones has been touring with Blood Brothers for the last 20 years.
Yeah,
and he's
very successful.
Yeah, and
Rachel
who's doing
Lundberg.
the band with the bit of Take That.
And who can forget Danny Taylor?
And Danny's doing Blood Brothers as well. Yeah, he's done very well for himself.
He
and
has.
He's got his one-man shows and all that. So I think people sort of like round it all up and call everybody jobbing actors. But that's exactly what they are.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter. You know, if you're out of work looking in, you look like somebody that's doing really well for yourself.
Yeah.
But you're basically just a jobbing actor.
Yeah.
You know, if you're sort of lucky enough to become a Ewan McGregor or a Daniel Craig, then that's like winning the lottery almost.
It is.
That's hardly ever going to happen.
It's funny though. I worked with. I've done Coronation Street, and I was working with one of the actors there. He's been in it for years.
Yeah.
And we were driving to the location, and we drove past an Aston Martin shop. I don't know whether I've said that right. A really nice car showroom.
Yeah.
And he went, "Oh." I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "Oh, I wish I could win the lottery." I said, "You have. As far as I'm concerned, you already have."
Yeah.
And he went, "No, it's just if I could win the lottery, I could be home with the kids." And I just went, "I tell you what, let's swap.
Yeah.
I'm home with the kids. We'll swap.
Yeah.
I'll have your job. I'll turn up to your work in that massive Range Rover you've just driven in.
Yeah.
And
I
be working every
completely
day.
Agree. The grass is always greener.
Always greener,
So
no matter how high you get."
We'll have a little bit more music because I want to talk to you more about Coronation Street. We got Zibby Guest with us this afternoon, and that Coronation Street thing. Ooh, that sounds like it could be interesting.
Community radio at its best. Calon FM.
There you go, the absolutely fantastic Sheridan Smith and the company of Legally Blonde.
Calon FM on 105 FM. Community radio at its best.
It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show. It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show. It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show. It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show.
Yes, indeed, it is. It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show. It's all music from stage and screen and anything you might have seen on your television box. And before we went to Sheridan Smith there, I was talking to Zib O'Brien. You're not O'Brien, are you? What are you? Guest.
Yeah.
Beg your pardon. I've known her for years. That's a really annoying thing, you know. I mean, I know you can't do anything about it, but girls, they'll get married and they'll turn them on Facebook and they'll say, Susan Jenkins. You weren't Susan Jenkins? I don't even know who you are. Don't change your name. In fact, when you go on Facebook, put your name and then you.
Some people do that, knee, don't they? NEE.
Yes, they do that, which is very helpful to me.
Yes.
Me.
Yes.
Excellent.
For Andy, please do that.
Yeah. Stop messing me about. So anyway, as before we went to Sheridan there, we were talking, we touched very, very briefly on being on Coronation Street. Now, I'm always intrigued when you go for a job like Coronation Street because most jobs, I suppose, when you go as an actor, you go, "Oh, good, I'll go and get this because I want to get a job." But when you get the phone call saying you got an audition for Corrie, that's a different ball game because you want to get it because your mum might watch it or your nana might watch it or everybody watches Coronation Street or they must have done in the past.
Yeah, that was crazy actually because I don't watch it, which you don't tell them when you go for the audition.
Yeah,
but I was amazed at how many people watch it. So, people all around the world were getting in touch with me.
Yeah.
that I haven't heard from for ages, saying, I was watching it and nearly fell out of bed, or I dropped the ironing board or whatever on my toe because I wasn't expected to see you. So it was just people in America getting in touch because I think they show it over there on some of the BBC. Oh no, it wouldn't be BBC, but they do show it everywhere. So yeah, even a small part, you will get seen.
So what's the audition process like for Coronation Street?
Well, with Coronation Street, unless you are going for a main character, it's just like going for any other audition. You're in there, you go along to the Manchester studio, you get given your script, you sit there for 5 minutes reading it. You're in there, you meet the director, casting director, and that's it. Yeah. And you read your part.
Right.
And then they say sometimes they don't even say thank you for coming along. They just say, okay.
Yeah.
And off you go.
Yeah.
Don't call us, we'll call you. Oh. And if you don't get it, they don't call you. They don't tell you that you haven't got it.
Which is really horrible.
Yeah, that happens to all actors. You never get told you haven't got a job. You just have to kind of guess when you see someone playing it on the telly and realise it's not yours. Which
is something I think we'll talk about a little bit later on, because you now work as a counsellor, and the anxiety levels of actors, even if you work, if you're out of work or if you work, the anxiety levels are massive, and you feel really sort of, I'm not 100% sure what the word is, but if nobody sort of like tells you where you're going wrong or right, even, your brain just works overtime, doesn't it? And so not to go for an audition, do it, because you always walk out and think, did I do that? Oh, yeah. What was that like? And when he laughed at that point, or he sort of smiled at me, or whatever, it could be any little thing that happens. And you sort of,
I think one of the things that I've noticed from them, I've had hundreds of auditions, and most of them I haven't got. Yeah. That's what most actors do. They go for auditions that they don't get, and some of them they get. Yeah. Even Superman, I remember him in his autobiography said, I can't remember his name.
Christopher Reeve
said, out of every 100 auditions I get one.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of statistics you're playing with. Yeah. But I went for one audition for Emmerdale once, and they always say to you when you get in, as a way to kind of relax you, what have you been doing lately? Yeah. And I used to hate it because I used to think, if you haven't been working, then you're trying to make something up. Oh, well, I did some... I compared a show for a friend of mine. Yeah. Anything.
Exactly, yeah.
You try and make something up.
Well, big yourself up.
Well, they said to me, what have you been doing lately? And I said, well, last week I gave birth on the bathroom floor. Yeah. And that's what they wanted to hear. They didn't want to hear actually what acting you've done. They wanted to just see you as a real person, and that just stuck in their mind. They were so interested. What, you gave birth on the bathroom floor and you're here now? And I had the baby with me.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I took the baby up to Leeds.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, because it was only like a week old. Literally, I gave birth on the bathroom floor. Yeah. And that night, and in the morning, my agent rang me and said, can you go to an Emmerdale audition next week? And because I'm an actor, I said, of course I can. I would have literally gone the next day. Yeah. Because auditions are so few and far between that you jump. When someone says, can you go? You go. Yeah. No matter how difficult it is, I would have literally gone the next day.
Yes. Yeah. I know what you mean. But it is bizarre, that, isn't it? Because my wife, of course, Janet, she worked as an actress as well. So it's that kind of... You just have to find a way through it, really. I mean, giving birth and then nipping up to Leeds is a little bit extreme, I must admit. But
my husband, actually, he was on paternity, so he actually drove me up there. Right. And I got the part instantly because they were just I was a normal human being, and maybe it was because I made that journey like a pilgrimage that I got the part.
Yeah. Either that, or they were looking for someone who looked like they just given birth.
I played.
You look haggard enough. You'll do.
I played a doctor actually in that one. I played a doctor in an emergency ward.
Yes, I was watching it the other day. Actually.
Yeah, and I do look plump in the face. I'll give you that. But I was able to wear scrubs, which are great when you've just given birth, because you can't tell if someone's just given birth. Yeah. And because
I sometimes think as well, it's more difficult when you're given half a dozen lines or something, and then sort of like go in there, speak to quite popular characters.
Yes.
Sometimes, especially in things like Coronation Street, people you almost like think you know.
Yeah.
You know, and like if you were doing something with any of them, I can't think of any of the names now, but let's say Dingle, him, because that's on your thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I worked with Mr. Dingle.
Yes. Now, you'd know that guy, because you've seen him 1,000 times, but then you're sort of like acting with him.
Yeah.
Nice people,
lovely people. I mean, that's the thing about actors. A lot of people think that they're, you know, lofty or haughty or hello, darling.
Yeah.
Actually, I think actors are some of the nicest people you'll ever meet because they're all very vulnerable. We're all feeling a bit vulnerable in the job that we do.
Yeah.
And they have this ability. All actors seem to have it of having instant rapport with someone.
Yeah.
They just instantly have this ability to get on with people, and I don't think you get that in any other profession, when you just walk into a room and people just accept you as a friend you've known for years.
Yeah.
As if, you know, that's just the way actors are, and then you don't see them again.
No.
You might not see them again for the rest of your life, but you have this connection, which is possibly, we're all very vulnerable here, so let's stick by each other.
I had a mate that did EastEnders, and the girl that plays Bianca, Vicky, she lived near him, and she ran him home. Yeah. And you think, she only met him that day. Yeah. He only did one day on it.
That's how nice people are in this profession. We are a good bunch of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is it because they are working? Is it because the jealousy levels can be quite bizarre?
Yeah, when you're in work and you're all working together, that's when you're all really good friends.
Yeah. Yeah. If you had a friend that was working a lot and you weren't, that would be quite strained on any relationship as a friendship.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I never found anybody. Although to my face, I don't think when I was busy working, nobody ever seemed to be envious of me. Although
not to your face, no.
Must have been.
Yeah,
they must have been. I accept that, and I would, because I probably was about them.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, because we're all in this vulnerable position of when's the next job coming along. That anyone who has got a job, you just see them as just some kind of non-human. How have they managed that?
Yeah,
sometimes.
I know. Yeah,
and then you do get a job.
But my brother Phil, you might know him.
Yeah.
He's worked predominantly in the West End since he was 16.
Yeah.
And
he's unusual to have been able to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. So he's turned 50 this year. You won't mind me saying. And if he's out of work, he's like literally he's been out of work for about 8 months out of all that time, and when he's out of work for about a week, he panics.
Yeah.
You know, he could be with Billy Elliot, which he's just come out of. He could be in that for 8 years.
Yeah.
And then after about 3 weeks, he's like,
what
if I never work again? What if nobody likes me? What if and he's thinking, come on, Phil, you're the boy they're after.
Yeah.
But he can't see that.
Yeah. I've got another friend, you also know him, Ian Pulston Davis, and he's been acting for years, and he always says to me that at the end of every job, instead of working your way up through the profession, he said, I should be a CEO now. I've been in the profession so long. Yeah. But he says at the end of every job, I'm back down to being a janitor again, because you're always trying to. There's no kind of progression in this. There is and there isn't. Yeah. You're as good as your last job. Yeah. And you're as good as a casting director wants to make you be.
I completely agree with her. Because you're suddenly that bloke that used to be.
Mm-hmm. You were in.
Yeah.
Yeah, or even when you are in.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. It's a tough thing, but
I know.
He's
it's
done
very
well
odd.
for himself.
Yeah. Yeah. We can't really complain though, can we?
No.
We're all happy.
Exactly.
Listen, we're running up to 1 p.m, girls and boys, and we're going to have the news, and then we'll be straight back to have a little bit more of a chat with Zibby Guest, who is now a councillor and a life coach. If you've got any questions for her, get in contact with me, Andy Snowden at Calon FM Stage and Screen. That's on the old Facebook. Andy Snowden at Calon FM Stage and Screen. Get the questions in, kids.
Calon FM on 105 FM. Community radio at its best.
The next track is Kylie Minogue.
Community radio on 105 FM and online. This is Calon FM.
It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show. It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show. It's the Andy Snowden Radio Radio Show. It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show.
It's the master, Ini Kamosi. The hot stepper, like that.
Calon FM on 105 FM. Community radio at its best.
Oh, here we go. Right. You press go and it doesn't come away. I'll go a lot, I do. Anyway, you're listening to Andy Snowden with music from stage and screen. Welcome back to the second hour. And anybody's been listening to the first hour, and a lovely chat I have, a lovely reminisce with my good friend Liz Guest, called Zibby Guest, Zib O'Brien. I don't know what. People are going to be laughing at me, aren't they? When they listen to this, they'll say, "Could you not get it right just once?" What do most people call you?
Zibby.
They call you Zibby to your face and everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody calls me Liz, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
So
just you.
Are you cringing when I call you Liz? Elizabeth? Were you as when you worked as an actress? Were you Elizabeth?
Yes.
So was that a bit freaky?
Yes. No, because eventually, once you introduce yourself, on the what are they called at the end? The titles at the end, I'd be Elizabeth, but in Friends or directors or anything, eventually I'd say, "Oh, you can call me Zib or Zibby."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I would think that would. That is bizarre, isn't it? Because you sort of Janet, my wife again. She's featuring quite heavily in today's show. I don't know why.
It's because I know her as well. Maybe
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she was called Janet Lewis, but she had to change her name.
Yeah.
Because there's another Janet Lewis, and
okay.
So she went for Darlington. That was her mum's maiden name.
Right.
And
I like that.
Yeah, it's a nice name, Darling.
Yes, Darlington.
So she, and she did a film when she just left college, and I put that on Facebook yesterday as well. I've been very busy.
Ooh, got to see that.
Yeah, so in the credits it says Janet Darlington, and the kids were like, "Who's that?" Janet Darlington. Very nice indeed. So anyway, we've had some questions in.
We have.
One of the first questions. A few people have asked this question actually.
Yeah.
Tips on auditioning, because when you go and audition for something, and we've already touched on the fact that it's really nerve-wracking. It's nerve-wracking anyway. So what is it? How do you get through the nerves? What do you have to do? Any tips on that?
Well, I had a friend actually who was at one time in pretty much every advert that you would ever see on the television. She'd be on like 3 or 4 at a time.
Yeah.
And I said to her, "What do you do? What is your magic thing?" And she said, "What I do is I don't care. I'm very nonchalant. It's just as if, what do you want me to read?"
Yeah.
She just kind of had this, it was a weird kind of confidence, and actually if you do that, if you try and do it on purpose as I did, it doesn't work.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah.
You have to be yourself, whatever that is. But what you can't be is kind of like people pleasing. That is probably the worst thing, because I've actually been on the other side of the desk as well as a casting. I've watched people come in and either read in with them or been a part of the casting process, and the people that come in trying to do their best are the ones that will never get the part.
Yeah.
And the ones that I've often got the part of are the ones where I've gone along and thought, I'm never going to get this.
Yeah.
For instance, Queen Elizabeth I. I was still in drama school when I auditioned for that.
Right.
And, I'm an olive skin, dark hair, dark eyebrows, and they're looking for a pale skin ginger.
Yeah.
Person.
Right.
And I was thinking, there's not a chance. I'm North Walian, I'm not a queen.
Yeah.
I don't sound like a queen. So I was thinking, there is not a chance that I'm going to get this. I almost didn't go,
Yeah.
So I didn't realise how amazing that audition was. And I got off at the train near the BBC, and I thought, why am I even going in for this? So I sat there and again thought, this is silly. And when I got home, they'd already rung me to say, we want you.
Wow.
So that is because I had no inkling that it was, and that's so hard to teach. So how do you teach someone to try not to get it, or to not be bothered, or to think you're not going to get it? But it is that, when you try so hard, it shows.
Well, I sort of, when you're watching The X Factor,
and
the thing that really irritates me, it's just one of the stupidest criticisms you can ever hear, is when they say, try not to be nervous, and you go, well, how the hell? How can you try not to be nervous? I don't think anyone's being nervous on purpose.
I think what what nerves is where you really, really care about what people think about you.
Yeah.
But if you go in there thinking, I'm just going to do this, not for me, for them. I'm going to show them what I can do.
Right.
So it's not, I hope I do it right, I hope I say it right, and it's all about me. If on X Factor you are performing that song for everyone in the audience because you absolutely love the song and the way it's done, and you want them to hear how wonderful you think the song is, then you've taken it off yourself.
Yes.
So the nerves aren't really about you. It's not about what you look like, how you stand, nobody's even going to see that if you absolutely love that song and you're belting it out and you're just enjoying it.
Yeah.
That's what people will love to see, and I think that's what they mean by don't be nervous.
Yeah, but if they, because I suppose as well, the fact that it's in their head that 8 million people or whatever are watching them.
Mm-hmm.
Although I used to find that if it was 80 people, I'd get nervous. If it was 800,000 on the telly, that's almost like too much of a bigger number to even contemplate. You don't even know.
You can't see that many.
No.
You couldn't count. You can count 80.
Yeah.
When you can count your audience, that's when you want to be nervous.
Yeah.
Because they can throw rotten tomatoes at you from there.
Yeah. That's true, but I mean, you just saying that then it reminds me of when I was doing Blood Brothers, I never got nervous.
Really?
And I used to suffer quite badly with my with psoriasis. I seem to have sorted that out, but I mean, but that was like a nervous affliction that came with any kind of nervous thing. Or so they said at the time, anyway. But I never got nervous ever. I didn't even. I mean, sometimes I think, God, I'm not even excited. It was weird, bearing in mind it was in the West End, it was the lead role and all the rest of it. It was a great big show. Never got nervous. Then when I went into a school and spoke to 30 kids in a classroom, and I found myself like I was shaking. I was thinking, what's the matter with me? What is this?
Did you know what you were going to do in front of those people? Was it a bit more improv in front of the kids?
That must have been it. That must have been it. The fact that I wasn't 100%
what you're
sure
doing,
what I was doing. Yeah.
What about the first night of Blood Brothers? The first night, first week? Must have been nervous then, were you?
You say that, right? I had. I went on the tour and did the show in front. I think the house was about 1,000. It was a big theatre. And I had. I'd wake up with cold sweats.
Wow.
Not that I was scared. I wasn't. I was far from scared.
Yeah.
But I was. I thought that must be like it's coming out in a different sort of way.
Yeah.
If it's subconscious when you're asleep.
Yes. You'd buried it and dealt with it later on, rather than when it was
you're waking up with cold sweats. And,
yeah.
I mean, if you're in digs and you think, God, I've got the bed.
You just called it cold sweats, but you had actually.
Yeah, I actually had that with the bed, but never thought of it again until a year later, and I finished the tour.
Yeah.
I went on holiday. When I was on holiday, they rang and said, do you want to come in to do the show in the West End? And I said yes. And the first week again, it happened again. And I thought, I wondered if there's something about if it's buried in your subconscious, and you might be quite blasé about it, and you see actors on like sort of Jonathan Ross show or something like that, and they're talking, and they all seem very confident, they all seem very cool about everything.
Yeah.
And then you think, but what are they like when they're asleep? What's going on in their head when they're asleep?
That's what it is.
Do you know
yeah,
what
I mean that's one thing about actors is they have this incredible. We learn to be able to handle nerves.
Yeah.
But they've got to go somewhere, haven't they?
Yeah.
I suppose. And then if you're not, your way of dealing with it was it was coming out in your sleep. Other people might have a drink.
Yeah.
Other people might.
Oh, I was doing that as well.
Maybe it was the drink.
Maybe that's what it was, yeah. Yeah, don't go to sleep on a bottle of whiskey, for God's sake, don't do that again.
Not in digs, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark has asked, do you really need to go to drama school? Is that essential? I
think that it was when we were going to drama school.
Yeah.
And I'm not to diss drama school now, but there isn't the greatest need, because anyone can make their own television show now on YouTube.
Yeah.
And actually what casting directors are still out there, but almost they were the gatekeepers that we had. They stopped you from. They were the ones who decided whether you could have a job or not.
Yeah.
It was the casting directors and the directors.
Yeah.
Now those gatekeepers are going. There are still some near the top who are casting things like Downton Abbey and things like that. But people can make their own way in this business now by doing their own things. So is it essential? No. Is it the best 3 years of your life? Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. Yeah.
You wouldn't want to take that away from someone. It was the best 3 years of my life to be surrounded by other people who all were so passionate about the acting. But you're in there for 3 years. Now, you could be doing work for 3 years in the profession. Yeah. And actually, if there are casting directors out there now, what they want is young people, young faces, fresh faces. Yeah. So you could get a kind of, if you decided not to go to drama school but to work in acting, you could get a big head start on a lot of people. Yeah. Yeah. Because
I learned very quickly that saying I went to the Guildhall, that didn't wash with anybody.
Really?
Of interest. You know, a lot of people would go, ooh, who were impressible. Yeah. But
did you say I went to the Guildhall, darling? That's what you should say.
That's where I went wrong. Yeah. But if you went to audition at the RSC and said, I trained at the Guildhall, so what? Most people who come through the door did. Yeah. Most people went to RADA, most people went to Central or Webber D or whatever. Yeah. I mean, it's a sad fact of life in the drama, in acting, that if you have a father or a mother that made their way in the world in acting, then you did have a few more doors open to you, without a doubt. Yeah, that definitely happened. But I think what's more important is understanding your casting bracket. That no one really quite understands. In drama school, I got to play a man, an old man, a gorilla. That was never going to stand me in much stead when I got out. Well, you say that.
And actually, that's true. I did get a job, and I did get a job straight out of drama school. I hadn't even left, and I got a job because they were looking for younger people. Yeah. And they looked for a lot of really young people, but I looked young, but I was older. Yeah. So that's what they were really after, someone who could actually act and read and understand the part, but looked really young. That is, if someone had just said to me, just go out there and be young. Yeah. Don't try and be anything else. Just be what you look like and be young. Yeah. Then it's understanding that what is it that they're casting you for. Yeah. Like in drama school, they used to teach you lots of different accents. There's no way that you would get cast now in a different accent to what you speak. Yeah. There's no way that someone would say, can you play Glaswegian? Exactly. Because that would be very, very rude to Glaswegians to go and cast a
The only reason why that would be necessary is if you were playing a load of characters. Yeah. If you're doing some sort of storytelling thing, and you needed about 5 or 6 different characters.
Yeah. But in the olden days, you used to get voiceover artists who would be radio. They'd have radio adverts and things, and they'd have to speak in lots of different accents. Yeah. But you just wouldn't hear that now. It would have to be from the region that they're from. Yeah.
Because as well, it's best. Because when you see something there seems to be a lot of dramas these days of kids that are having horrible things done to them, and you see a kid and she looks about 13 or 14, and then you sort of go, and you look them up on Google or something, and they're 28, and you think, oh, thank God for that, because you think that must be an awful thing to play as a kid. But if you're an adult and you know the score or whatever. But I said to you as well while the news was on, did it sort of slap you in the face when you started getting cast as mums?
Well, and I replied, I never was cast as a mum because I'm only 5'2", and I would go into auditions and I would literally, all the girls would be taller than me, teenagers, massive, much. I honestly think people are getting bigger. Yeah, that's what I think anyway. I'm getting smaller, so I'd go in, and no matter how many chunky cardigans I wore to try and make myself look older, it just didn't wash. There's no way I could have played their mum. So that's when my acting dried up, as it were. I went off to have children, and that takes you down a few rungs of the ladder, almost off the ladder. and then you got to try and get back on the ladder. But now, being an older looking person, but not actually tall enough to pass as anyone's mum, the parts weren't available. Having said that, Judi Dench is the same height as me, 5'2".
Oh, well.
And so she did okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been all sorts of things, but she's Judi Dench.
Didn't she play Elizabeth I as well?
I think she did.
I think
She played Queen Victoria. I know she's done Victoria.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about Elizabeth I.
Because to me, you don't look like any different than you did when you were like 18 or whatever it was when we were doing the Clwyd Youth Theatre.
But you don't look any different to me.
I must do.
You don't.
I've got grey hair.
And a beard. But you still look the same.
But I was like 9 stone. And people have said that to me. And it was only when I got together with Janet that she made me fat.
Janet? It's not Janet's fault. She runs Weight Watchers.
Yes, I know she does now. But when we first started going out with each other, she had me in that Indian restaurant more often than I needed to be. And kebabs as well.
But you were a teenager. Most teenage men are about 9 stone. That's what they are.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
fair enough. No, but I was saying, you look. I mean, I'd pick you out of a million people in a crowd because you look exactly the same as you did.
Thank you.
But at the same time, you wouldn't look out of place being cast as somebody's mum.
Do you think?
Yeah.
So you say I look like a mum?
Well,
yeah.
Yeah,
I look like I am a mum.
I'd buy into that. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't say you look old.
But in the world of adverts, right, it has to be so...
Instant
recognisable, yeah. It has to be, because you're only seeing it for a few seconds.
Yeah.
And so in those few seconds, boom, people have to make up a decision. And if they're trying to think, well, hang on a minute, that teenager is taller than her. Is she the mum or is she the sister? What is she?
Yeah.
So
I know
it has to be almost like looking at a picture, instant picture.
Yeah.
So that's why in adverts, certainly, I didn't have a place anymore.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Brilliant. Well, that's your acting profession sorted. After we hear from Ainsley and Lamar and David, we're going to be talking about Zib's. How long have you become a councillor? How long has this been going on?
I'm fully qualified now for 2 years.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
All right, and we'll find out how that all came about right after we hear from the boys from Fame Academy.
Calon FM on 105 FM. Community radio at its best.
Open her
Oh, so there you go. A little bit of Fame Academy back in the day.
Calon FM on 105 FM. Community radio at its best.
You're listening to the Andy Snowden Stage and Screen Radio Show. Broadcasting around the world. And in Rosa Medre.
Yes, indeed. That is, that was Lamar and the eventual winner of Fame Academy, David Snedden. Whatever happened to David Snedden? Do you remember him?
I don't
Do you remember Fame Academy
I
at all?
didn't watch it.
It was brilliant.
Was it?
It was brilliant. It was between Pop Idol and X Factor.
Yeah.
And they put this thing together. And it was like it was all big, set in a big house.
Was it musicals they were trying to get into, or
No.
the music industry?
The music industry. The
And-
prize was £1 million record deal.
Really?
Yeah.
And David Snedden obviously had.
He got his record deal.
He got his record deal, but we
and
never heard of him.
Never heard of him. Lamar, you still hear from?
Yes. Yeah.
But he's,
The ones who come second, obviously, they often do better.
They do, don't
In
they?
fact, I would not try and win one of those shows. I'd always try and just keep a little bit back
Yeah.
so I could come second.
Yeah.
Because that seems to be, I don't know why, maybe the pressure's just too much on that person
Yeah.
who wins.
Yes. Yeah.
And often
'Cause-
they win because they've got a story.
Yeah.
And actually the story won't carry you through
No.
into the music business.
No.
So Ollie Murs, he didn't win, did he?
No.
But
He sold out the stadium here.
Yeah.
And probably selling out stadiums
Yeah.
all over the place.
He's a grafter. I'll give him. That's one of the things about him. He's put in a lot of work.
Yeah.
And he's done better than who knows who won that year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you probably be difficult to name any of the winners of the X Factor.
Yeah.
With the year attached to it.
Yeah.
But if someone said name 10 people who were in the X Factor, probably nearly none of them won.
Yeah, absolutely. JLS, Jedward. They didn't win.
Yeah.
And that guy who he's a presenter now. He was he was actually really quite bad. Rylan. He's a fantastic presenter.
Yeah,
he's just done this morning all week last week.
Yeah.
And he's incredible.
Yeah.
But didn't win.
No.
So try not to win, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let that be a lesson in life for you.
Don't be a winner. Be a loser. That's the kind of counselling I do.
Exactly. It's funny enough, I'm speaking to a counsellor and a life coach. Her name is Zib Guest.
Yes.
Got it right. There we are. Perfect. And she worked as an actress, for those of you who are just joining us. She worked as an actress for, how long did you do it for? About 10 years, was it?
I'd say it was more like 16, 17.
Right. So it was a long time.
Yeah.
And then you got to some point and just thought...
I kind of... I got to a point where I turned 40, and I think that is a big turning point for a lot of people in their lives.
Yeah.
It's often a point of people saying, so what is it I'm actually doing here?
Yeah.
And I thought that acting had become something which was, I was nearer to the bottom of the chip pan, as they say.
Yeah.
And I realised in order to get further up that ladder, I was going to have to use the same amount of ambition that I had when I left drama school.
Yeah.
And when you're 18, 19, 20, ambition is what you are. You're made up. It runs through your blood.
Yeah.
And when you turn 40 and you've got 2 children, ambition comes really far down your list of things to do that day.
Yeah.
So,
yes, absolutely. You're right. Yeah.
And I realised ambition is it takes a certain amount of energy. It's like fire. And you've really got to really work at that and keeping that fire, stoking that fire, keeping that fire alive. And I thought to myself, I don't really want it enough anymore.
Yeah.
And what I realised was that in acting, you're very insular. You're thinking about yourself. One of the things, especially as a female actress, is what you look like.
Yeah.
How much you weigh is a big thing in acting. It shouldn't be, but
Is that still a big thing? Do people actually openly say to you, lose weight?
Oh yeah, I had agents who would say to me, you need to lose 10 pounds. Always say 10 pounds, because the camera puts 10 pounds on you.
Yeah.
So if you can be 10 pounds under what you should be, then you'll look okay on the screen. Because at the time I was going for parts that were that needed to be good looking, pretty, whatever.
Yeah.
It just happened to be that was my kind of casting bracket. So yeah, it was a big thing, and I kind of got fed up with that. And so that insular way of looking at yourself and what you look like, and also as well a lot of horizon. I call it horizon thinking. When I get that part, then I'll be better. When I finally land a part, then my life will be better. I'll be nicer to the kids.
Yeah.
I'll be a nicer person to be around. And my mum actually pointed out to me. She said, "You're always looking into the future." Into a time in the future when you'll feel better, and you're not living in this present moment. And that got me thinking. And I also heard a few stories at the time about really well-known actors, and I heard about them, they weren't happy.
Yeah.
And they were at the top of their profession. I would have given my right leg to have been in their position.
Yeah.
And yet I hear that they were not happy.
No.
And I thought, what am I trying to do? And what I actually thought was, if I go into something like counselling or coaching, I can actually help other people and take all the pressure off myself.
Yeah.
So rather than what's in it for me, I changed my thinking to how may I help other people? How may I serve?
Yeah.
Was my new...
Well, I was saying to you, wasn't I, the other day, that there's a bizarre kind of thing. I don't know if I'm sort of on my own with this, but when I was working as an actor, I was only ever happy when I got the phone call saying I'd got a job. Because being out of work was horrible. Going for the audition was horrible. Getting it, great. Doing the job was horrible. There was actually nothing apart from getting the phone call and saying somebody likes you enough to give you a job. That was actually the only good bit.
I love that.
Isn't it funny?
Yeah.
I don't know if I was on my own with that.
No, it's the elation because finally a few weeks or months have gone by of no work, and finally you've been told you are going to get work.
Yeah.
And so the feast or famine comes in. You can actually spend some money.
Yes.
But then the actual doing of the job, because then you're into the realms of vulnerability and am I going to be good enough at this? And hoping to get, every time you were on stage in the West End, you're hoping to get a round of applause. You're hoping that your song goes well and your voice doesn't break halfway through. Mm-hmm. So every night you're trying to do the very best, and you're being watched by a load of people. Yeah. And also that constant looking for work. My husband's, he's been in the corporate world for his whole life. And he says to me, he's probably been for about 5, I call them auditions, but interviews for people in the real world in his whole life. Whereas as an actor, you're going for one, if you're lucky, every week.
Yeah. That's if you're lucky.
That's if you're lucky. Every week you are, and you're having how many jobs? Hundreds of jobs, hundreds of different jobs. So it's you'll never find that inner peace.
No.
You're never going to find it. There are some actors that do find it, but I don't know many. Even I watched an interview with a famous actress, I can't remember her name, who said, even when you're at the Helen Mirren, even when you're at the very, very top, you're just waiting for someone to come and tap you on the shoulder and say, we didn't mean you. We meant to get someone else in. Yeah. It's always watching your back, and there's always someone doing better than you. Yeah. And, I know this is a stage and screen show, and people that listen to this probably are really into acting, so I don't want to make it sound like it's such a terrible thing, but it is, when you're working, the best job in the world.
Yes, it is.
It is.
Although, when I used to go on holiday,
when
I was doing Blood Brothers, because that's the only job I've done when it was for any length of time.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, as I say, you get a job, you go for an audition, you're out of work, you go for an audition, you get a job, and then you do the job, and it lasts. If it's a television job, you're lucky if it lasts a fortnight.
Yes.
If you do a theatre job, you're lucky if it lasts more than 2 months.
Yeah.
So if you got a job in the West End or something, I mean that could last 12 months. Mm-hmm. So at least you've got chance to sort of go, let's save up for a holiday or something. While we're eating okay. Although that wasn't always the case when I was doing Blood Brothers, because it wasn't exactly, you're never going to be a millionaire.
Not in theatre, no.
You're never ever going to be. You never make loads of money, and I think people thought I was rinsing it in. I thought, and like they go, come in for a drink, and I go, I can't. I've got no money. So you're going on stage and you're playing a lead role, and you're working 8 times a week doing that for 3.5 hours or whatever. I mean, it's hardly a nightmare for anybody that goes down the pits. But but to be taking home enough money because you had to put money aside for your tax, you had to put money aside for your travel, food, and we
drink,
had kids as well.
Drink.
But me and Jan gave ourselves £30 a week to spend.
Wow.
That's all we had. So once, I used to say, well, I can go for a pint tonight, but I can't go for a pint tomorrow night.
It's because you had kids.
Yeah.
When I was on the West End, I didn't have any children, and
What do you think to yourself, if I go for a pint tonight? Because if you go to a club, and some of the clubs in London, I mean, you could feed your kids for a week just getting in. It's £30 to get in.
Just using the toilet.
Yeah.
I had to tip someone in the toilet. Oh, sorry, it's my wage.
I don't think I've ever been in a place where I've had to tip someone to the toilet.
Have you not?
No.
Clubs in London, there was always someone in the ladies' toilets. They'd hand you a tissue. They'd put a bit of perfume on you.
Yeah.
To give them your money.
Oh, fantastic. This is running away with us, this. Let's have a little bit more music, and we will be back with Zibby Guest.
Calon FM on 105 FM. Community radio at its best.
I've been drowning in the river, trying to soothe my soul.
So there you go, a little bit of Take That, and of course Take That show. The band is it's all over the country as we speak, and just about to go into the West End. Did you know Zib, it's going into the West End?
Is it? with our wonderful friend Rachel.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm really proud of her, you know.
I'm proud of her.
I had her on the show. And she,
I know, I heard it. It was fantastic.
Just before she went on tour with it. And just a great thing. Great for her, great for, you know.
It's great to see someone you know do so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always thrilled for people who do well, to be honest with you.
I am. I'm not the jealous type.
I can't be bothered.
Because if you are jealous, then you don't open yourself up for anything good to happen to yourself, do you?
Yeah.
If you don't want anything good to happen to someone else, then why should something good happen to you?
Correct.
So you should always be happy for someone when they've done well.
I love that. I'm going to put that on a T-shirt.
Be happy for others.
That's the best thing I've heard in a long, long time.
Yeah.
Flipping heck. There you go. Get a question in for Zib. She is now a counsellor and what's a life coach when it's at home? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of life coaches around, but it's what I do is kind of like it's counselling with a bit of coaching brought in.
Right.
So, one would think about a life coach as someone who is going to help you. Say if you have an idea or a goal, they're going to help you to achieve that. So one of the things is to hold you accountable and to also be there for you and say, right, by when do you want to have this done by? When do you say for instance, let's use losing weight as an example.
Yeah.
Someone comes in and they want to lose 6 stone. So you're going to have then the life coach will say to you, when do you want to lose this by? So what are you going to do to get there? And then they hold you accountable each week or every 2 weeks or 3 weeks to say, how have you got on? What have you put in place? Yeah. Exercise. What are you eating? You know, that kind of thing. But for counselling, where a counsellor would come in, they would be there to say, so why have you got yourself so overweight?
Yeah.
And then there may be more reasons below that. So it isn't just about what you've eaten. It's about the childhood you may have had.
Oh, right.
Or something, you know, traumatic happened to you somewhere along the line that has actually made it so that you've got quite addicted to chocolate. Or I'm only using weight loss as an example.
Yeah.
So often where a life coach might not be able to take you is further into your life where a problem may have started, may have taken root.
Right, okay.
And so the idea with the counselling is to help uproot any of those things that happened in your past that are holding you back to be able to be happy in the here and now.
Yeah.
It's all about, we were talking about this before we came on the show about how your past can come in and haunt you.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can haunt you so much that it stops you living your life in this present moment. And some people actually get haunted by their worries of the future. You know, what if I try this, then it's probably going to go wrong. Or so there's that fear of the future that can hold people back.
Yeah.
Or fear of rejection is another big one, especially around the acting. But I better not do that just in case. It's this fear, and that's what the counselling is there for: is to unlock that fear, for you to be able to see it for what it really is.
Yeah.
And the more you are able to see that fear, the more you're able to just dissolve it.
And is it as simple as that, I suppose?
It is, I suppose it is as simple as that. One thing that counsellors do is hold a mirror up to you. So they're not there to give you advice. That is the one thing that they don't do or shouldn't do. It's there to let you make decisions about yourself once you've really seen them from almost another point of view.
Yeah.
So if you hold a mirror up to someone and they can see that actually all that's holding them back is their own fear about themselves, and then you can break that fear down and say, is it real?
Yeah.
Is it real, or is it just something you've imagined?
Yeah.
And then you start to be able to say, actually, yeah, it doesn't have to be real. I have just been imagining this fear. I'll take one tiny baby step, and it's the baby steps that actually help people to change, not just one big. You don't have one session and suddenly you come out. It's just these little tiny baby steps, and people start to live more in the present moment and just be contented.
Well, I said to you earlier that one of the things that haunts me is things that I've done in the past.
Yeah.
And even stupidly, I mean, I'm nearly 50 for crying out loud, but it's stuff that I did when I was a teenager, things that I've said more than done. You know what I mean? I'm not a lawbreaker or anything. I'm not a nutter. But I am somebody that is prone to have a bit of a take a joke too far. Do you know what I mean? And you're laughing because you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I
say about you when you were younger, we say you didn't really have a great filter. You've grown a filter as you've got older. But,
I have, yeah.
Yeah, but back in the day, it was just a big hole.
Yeah, what you never used to have back when I was a teen, when we were teenagers, you never had people going, "Oh, I found that really offensive." So nowadays...
Nowadays, you would have been locked up.
You can't say anything without people getting offended. But I used to say awful things, always in jest. You know, never would say anything intentionally to hurt anybody. But sometimes when a joke really backfires, and I can be lying in bed now, even what are we talking like 30 years later, going, why did I say that? What's the matter with me? Why am I thinking? Wait, what's the matter with me?
It's funny. It usually happens when people are lying in bed, either just waking up or just going to sleep. When the ego, that part of you that really likes to mix things up, will really just pick anything out of the blue just to make you feel bad about yourself.
Yeah.
And as you said to me, I spend a lot of my time making myself happy, and I think that is a really good skill to have.
Yeah.
Actually, to realise that you are in control of the way you think, and it's your responsibility to at all times try, if possible, to look on the positive, to look on the bright side, to look on the positive side.
Yeah.
But when you're just drifting off to sleep, that's when it'll come in there.
Yeah.
And
is that not a skill that most people have, though? Can they not, if they just to explain to everybody, I was saying to Zib before we came on air that if I wake up in the morning, it's usually in the morning as well, and you know that thing of like when you wake up at like 3 or 4 in the morning, you're lying in bed and you just think, you think you were going to die, you were that worried about something, and then when you fall back to sleep, you wake up again at 8 and go, well, what was I worried about? I can't even remember what I was worried about. But
insomnia.
Yes,
basically.
But insomnia. I was saying, if I can wake up in the morning sometimes and think, it could be anything. Like you're worried about the kids, you're worried about, I've got to get the car MOT'd, you've got to get sort out paying the tax man or whatever. Yeah. Whatever it is, no matter how dramatic it is. I've seemed to have found a way of being able to sort of force myself to be happy, and I'm always constantly searching for happiness. So I've heard a lot of people lately talking if they've been to prison. I was listening to Aiken. What was he called? Jonathan Aiken. Yeah. And he went to prison, and he said he was only there about a week before he was actually contented. And I thought that's probably what I would do, even though prison scares me to death. The thought of working in a prison, let alone going to prison. But he said he found a way of making himself happy in the situation that he was in. And I thought that's something that I can do. Yeah. But I appreciate you saying now that not everyone can do that. And that must be...
I think let's look at the skills that you've got. Really, one of the skills that you've got in making yourself happy is you're a very sociable person.
Right.
Either in life, one-to-one with people, or online. I've noticed, in Facebook, you're always engaging with people. Yeah. And that ability to engage does actually lift your spirits, because we miss that a lot in modern day society. That interaction with people is what actually can take your mind off yourself. When someone's depressed, their mind is completely and utterly focused inwardly on themselves, and actually just. You've heard it so many times at the moment. All people are talking about mental health. Talk to someone, talk to someone, talk to someone. Yep. And that really is the message. That's what counsellors are there for. They're there to listen to you with no judgment whatsoever. But so that's one of the things you've got that helps you find a way into happiness, and you're always willing to laugh. You have never known anyone with this incredible ability to find a laugh anywhere. Yeah. So that is another skill really for modern day life. Yeah. Skills that our younger generation need to be able to use more, is that interaction, that ability to laugh, because everything's so serious now. Yeah. And depression has never been higher.
Why do you think that is?
Gosh, that is the $1 million question, isn't it? I think that our society now, back in the 1950s and 60s, people didn't really have much, probably a lot less than they do now. Yeah. But there wasn't this striving. that there is now for a better life. We weren't aware of the Kardashians, and you know, people with a lot of money weren't flaunting it in everyone's faces about how absolutely wonderful their life is. You know, people weren't pimping their rides and you know, showing them their pads and their houses. I don't know what that show is. You know, the rap artists just kind of covered in gold, and I know there were rich people then, but it wasn't quite so in your face, and there wasn't this kind of everyone wants that now. And I think that it's that distance between what they want and what they've got that they feel the depression within. That's where the you're not where you want to be. You're not as happy as you want to be. Because there's something always constantly from all media outlets constantly every advert is telling us, you know, you haven't got this. Your life would be better if you had it. So
I thought it was quite telling when we got 24-hour news. And 24-hour news, I think, is the most dangerous thing, especially for a young mind. When I was younger, sort of say between 10 and sort of 16. There was these things called guerrillas, and not your gorilla, but the guerrilla warfare in Afghanistan. And I would lie in bed and I would absolutely be beside myself with worry. Now we've got our kids saying, don't go into the streets of Wrexham because they could get blown up. I mean, it's not even a joke. It's not even a sort of, well, that's not going to happen. To them, that will happen because you go to a pop concert in Manchester and we had friends at that concert and Sam, my lad, he lives in Manchester and he actually texted us on that day and said, something's happened at the MEN. Don't worry, I don't think it's a terrorist attack because there's kids there. Right, and me and Jan just sort of looked at each other and went, "Oh my God, that doesn't sound good." But that was his naivety, not knowing that they don't care. But so now younger kids, they'll see that people all over the world. You know, don't matter where you go, no matter what you do, there is that horrible threat that could happen. And I don't know if that. Because when people say young people depression is up so high, and I think, well, stop putting these things on the news. I mean, you know, you go and see a film, and if it's got a bit of swearing in, it's a 15. But the news people seem to be showing anything they like at any time of the day. You know, there was something on the news the other day, and they said, and it was about 8:30 in the morning, and they said some people might find this a bit worrying because there's pictures of dead children, and I'm going, well, don't show it then.
Not 8:30. No, not any time.
Why are you showing that? You know, at this time of the day.
The thing is, though, throughout history, we've always, human beings have always been around trauma. You know, throughout history, someone in one country has been absolutely horrible to others. There's been tyrants all throughout history. It's just that the news doesn't half love a little bit, you know, a lot of drama. It wouldn't sell. No one would watch it, really, if it was all happy-clappy.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Listen, let's just hold it there for a minute, and then we'll have a little bit more music. Then we'll have the news, and they'll be back at 2 o'clock, and then at 2:30 we're out of here because the football today. Ooh, big match with Wrexham. Oh my word!
Calon FM on 105 FM, community radio at its best.
It's Andy Snowden, stage and stage and stage and screen. Stage and screen.
Go ahead, make my day.
Mrs. Robinson, you're trying to seduce me.
And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
You ever seen a grown man naked?
Here's Johnny.
Life is a box of chocolates, Forrest. You never know what you're gonna get.
Tell me about it, Stud.
I see dead people.
Stage and screen.
Yeah! Come on in! Come on! Fast! Come in quickly! Don't let anyone see you!
What's going on, Mr. Schneebly?
You want to know what's going on? I will let you know what is going on, Little Miss Sunshine. How come none of you told me you could play music? You, Zach, you're the
One of the best shows in London at this present time. It is called School of Rock. It's a belter.
Calon FM on 105 FM. Community radio at its best.
So it's coming up to 2:10, and we're out of here. We're out of here at 2:30. So we have full commentary of Wrexham's visit to Eastleigh this afternoon, and good luck to them. Hopefully Wrexham can play a little bit better than they did on Monday. I went to the football, Zib. I never go to the football these days. Just can't afford it.
Is it expensive?
Well, it's only 20 quid to go and watch the Wrexham play, but some people go every week.
Yeah.
I can't do that. Just can't. But my brother called me a bank holiday Monday and he said, "Do you fancy coming to the match?" I said, "Aye." So we went. It was awful.
Was it?
Awful game. And I think
they weren't on form.
Anybody that was there would all agree. It was Wrexham played atrociously, and the referee was dreadful.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So.
And who beat them?
Borehamwood.
Yes. Well, they're very good.
Which
good
is
team.
where they do EastEnders, of course. Talking of which, we've had a lady called Carol. She says I think it's her grandson actually, Dewi, is auditioning for drama schools. And do you have any tips? Do you have any tips for drama school auditions or auditions as a whole?
Yes, I do. One of the things to bear in mind, I think, is that everyone in that drama school is looking for someone really good.
Yeah.
So you can often have this idea that they're going to try and catch you out, or they're going to, they want you to be bad. They don't want you to be bad. They want you to be amazing. They want their job to be easy.
Yeah.
They want someone to walk in and absolutely ace it.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that you walk in and absolutely ace it is absolute and utter preparation beyond belief. You've got to be. You usually have to do two monologues. One is a classical, often a Shakespeare, and one is a modern, from a modern play. Mm-hmm. And you have to know that play, not only the speech, but the play, back to front, inside out. And you know exactly what that character is thinking in that moment. Yeah. And pick a character that's very like you. Don't try and be all amazing and do some kind of... Don't do King Lear if you're 16 years old, Pick a 16-year-old character who's very like you. Mm-hmm. And a lot of my friends have had a lot of success with putting together a monologue from... a book or a play that they've liked. So they've actually pieced it together. So the writing is the original writer, but they've actually pieced something together. A friend of mine, Emma Reeves, often does that with monologues. Because she is actually an amazing writer, but she can put together a piece so that it's even more like you. There might be a character in a book that you really do empathise with. And so to do that, it also means that the people watching it, if you imagine there are now maybe 6,000 people going for 30 places in a drama school, they will see the same piece over and over and over again. Yeah. So what's really important is if you come in there with something really original that is so like you, and absolutely the preparation is key. So I would say if you can, find someone who can do coaching with you, because it's money well spent. Yeah. We were very lucky when we were in the youth theatre. We had someone who put us through audition practice, and we would practice for hours and hours and hours. And that's why there were so many people getting into drama school, because we'd had a lot of input into the preparation for those monologues. Yeah. So it's absolutely important. You have got to go in there and ace it. Yeah. Another thing to remember is, obviously, and this is what a coach would help you to do, is posture, is the way you speak, is breathing. There are so many things that are going to be really important to be able to ace that audition. And also remember that if you are only 16, 17, it may be that you might have to audition for 1 year and then go back in next year and audition again. Yeah. And the more auditions you do, the better practice you get. Yeah. So audition for as many as you can afford as well. Yes, because it's not free. It's not free. Yeah. It used to be £25. It's probably more like £50 now to audition. It's got to be.
Yeah.
So if you could find yourself a free audition anywhere, go to that to get practice.
Yeah.
Get used to getting up in front of people and doing it. Don't go to your audition and it's the first time you've ever done your monologue in front of people, because nerves have the most incredible. They do the most incredible thing to you. They make your legs wobble.
Yeah.
They make your hands sweat. Your mouth goes dry, and your mouth actually can't open.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I used to find I used to forget things. I used to, like, if I mean, any actor that's been in a rehearsal space would be able to know the feeling of, I knew it at home,
yeah,
and then I've come in here and I've forgotten all of it.
Yeah.
And then the older you get, you realise that, well, you've got other things to worry about. You know, you're worrying about where you're standing, you're worrying about how you sound, or what you know, because you start speaking and you go, oh, I can hear my own voice. You know, it was echoey in here or something, and then suddenly you haven't got a clue what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I
once did a play where I had to open the show on a revolving stage playing the piano. And I told the director that I could play the piano,
right?
And in the audition, and I got the part. And then they sent me through the pieces that I had to play, and they were grade 8 pieces, Mendelssohn and Schubert. And I'd never played the piano in my life, so I had 8 weeks from when I got them to when I went into rehearsal to learn some piano. And I managed to find someone who didn't teach me to play the piano, just taught me to play those pieces. Yeah. So I learned to play, but the first time I did that, my fingers didn't move. When it was my first time to open the show, my fingers were just stuck on the piano. They couldn't move because the nerves has this incredible ability, especially on your extremities, to just make them stop. You
learned those pieces. You played those pieces.
Yes. Yeah, I learned.
And you couldn't play the piano.
And I couldn't play the piano, no. That's what actors will do. They'll do anything they can to get a part.
That's incredible.
Yeah, well, it's a bit like learning lines is the way I saw it. I had to, I did for, I think it was 2 weeks, 8 hours a day, sitting at the piano, learning.
Good God.
I got there in the end.
That's astonishing.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, Carol. Hope that's answered your question for you. You were saying before, actually, before we came in here, that you do this thing, you meditate every day.
I do. Yes.
Tell us how you go about doing that. What do you do?
Well, it's actually, to speak about it, when you hear it, you sit quietly before you do anything else. You get up in the morning, before you do anything else, you just go and sit quietly and meditate, which is to concentrate on emptying your mind.
Right.
Which is easier said than done. A lot of people say to me, I've tried meditating. It doesn't work for me. And they've sat for literally 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And that I've been meditating for probably 13, 14 years, and I still find it difficult to empty my mind. The mind is so active, and it loves to do things like remind you, like you were saying earlier, remind you of things you've done in the past that weren't so good.
Yeah.
And when you sit still, you realise how incredible the mind of ours is, and actually what meditation is there for is to be master of your mind, so that you are in control of the way it thinks. So yeah, and when you get control of your mind, then that's a wonderful thing, because of course then you can't let it won't, you can catch it before it goes off and telling you that you're not very good, or that you're not good enough.
Yeah. Because I always used to find when people used to say, okay, everyone lie on the floor, empty your mind, and you would sort of concentrate on emptying your mind, and your brain would be going, right, empty, come on, empty. You know, and you're thinking, well, I'm thinking about emptying my mind. Actually doing that is something I think that will just happen. It's something you can't...
eventually, I think if you're willing to sit there long enough, when you first start meditating, it's incredible how your body will not sit there. Your body just wants to move. It's weird.
Yeah.
When you watch TV, you can sit there for hours and not move a muscle.
Yeah.
But when you try and sit down in meditation, when there's nothing else going on, you just realise your body just feels these different aches and pains. It doesn't want to sit. It starts twitching and stuff. To actually get control of your mind and your body, and what you're concentrating on is finding peace.
Right.
And I said to you earlier, it's a little bit like turning the Wi-Fi off on your phone or your computer, just unplugging it.
Yeah.
And plugging yourself into peace, or you could call it even bliss. And charging your battery up with peace before you head out into the day.
Right.
And then again at night, even for 20 minutes, just uncharging, or just letting it all go, and so that you start again the next day, as if you've wiped the memory card, of all the stuff that's built up over the day.
Well, because when you have kids and it's time for bed, so say if they go to bed at 7 o'clock, 7:30, so around about 6:30, you start winding them down. There's no use taking them up to bed if they've just been running around outside.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're never going to go to sleep. But as adults, you do that all the time. You almost make that mistake. You go, oh, I'm going to bed, but I've got a bed routine where I'll go to bed with a cup of tea and I will put the telly on in the bedroom, and I've got one of them timers on the thing, and the timer lasts about 45 minutes or something.
And you're gone.
And I'm always asleep.
Really?
And it turns itself off, and I'll wake up in the morning and everything's off. But that's my routine. That's what I do.
You've got a routine. I think routine is really important. Actually, a lot of people we just don't ever give ourselves time to just be quiet. Anymore.
Yeah.
From morning until night, until you go to bed, there is noise. And actually, there's no peace there. Yeah,
I completely agree. And I love silence. Silence in my.
It's golden.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well done. No.
You like silence?
I love silence.
Yeah.
I love being on my own.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't like being around people, but I love that. When my in-laws used to live in Spain, and Janet, my wife, she used to take the kids to Spain for the whole of the summer holidays, and I would go and join them for a fortnight at some point, and then every single time people would go, oh, you must come round to us for tea. You must go. People would be making me stuff for tea and all these kind of things. And I'm thinking, I'm fine. Yeah. I am absolutely dandy on my own. Thanks very much.
I think that often comes with a man who has 3 young children. He suddenly realises how important quiet is.
Yeah, that's true. But I've always been like it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Even as a kid.
Yeah.
Quite happy in my own body.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I think a lot of people, especially introverted people, and I'm one of those as well, they're very good at being extrovert and being around people, but they also absolutely need that time to be on their own, to recharge their batteries. And actually, that's how they recharge their batteries. Extroverted people recharge their batteries by being in company.
Right.
Whereas I can't do that. I can only be in company for a certain amount of time in a party.
Yeah.
Then I have to retreat and just have that quiet alone time.
Yeah.
To kind of get my rebalance again.
Yeah.
That's one thing that meditation does. It brings more of a balance into your life, so that you're more balanced in everything that you do.
Right.
You're less worried about things. You're less fearful of the past, regretful of the past, fearful of the future. It does help you live more in the present moment. That's what it's really about.
So just then, do you think that's what I'm doing then when I'm striving for happiness? If I can find it, I must have meditated in some way to find that. Because I'll tell you something that's happening lately. The dog has been waking me up about 6 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 5, right? And I'll get up, and if it's 5 o'clock in the morning, sometimes I'll just go, I'll go back to sleep. And other times, I'm quite happy having that sort of 2.5 hours or so before everybody else has to get up.
Oh, it's delicious, isn't it?
And I know, but people are concerned about me, not in a sort of oh God, is Andy all right?
Yeah.
They go, well, what you need to do is this, or what you need to sort of, you need to train not to do that. And I'm thinking, no, I'm fine.
No,
I'm absolutely fine.
There's a poem that goes, the morning breath has secrets to tell you. Do not go back to sleep. Do not go back to sleep. Do not go back to sleep.
Nice.
You like that?
Yeah, I do, and I understand it as well.
There are secrets in that morning because it's because no one's up yet. It's quiet time. It's a time for you to really be with yourself, you know, and you kind of do get, your intuition will start to talk to you about what you need to kind of be doing that day to make yourself happy. Yeah. Because I find that time of morning, and I think it's something to do with the light as well. It's a different light to the sort of. It could be exactly the same light as sort of dusk, 7 o'clock in the evening or something, but. It's got promise in it, hasn't it?
It's
There's
very
a promise
quiet.
to it.
Yeah, if you take the dog for a walk at 6 o'clock in the morning.
It's delicious, and the birds singing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you go, I mean, I don't know, is it because... I don't know. Is it because of traffic or whatever? Something's happening that makes it sort of it's almost like a dead sound. And I'm a big fan of that.
I would probably say as well, you probably hadn't watched any TV or news at that time. You've just gone out with the dog. The dog.
I probably made a lot of people laugh on Facebook.
Well, that's a 24/7 job for you, isn't it? Making people laugh on Facebook.
I quite like it. Are you a fan of social media as a concept?
I'm not a big user of social media. No, I tend to bounce onto it. I bounce there for about 5 minutes and then I just have to walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find it a funny place to be, really. But I like seeing things that you've put there.
Yeah.
But
good.
yeah.
And do you Woody because you're obviously a mother of your kids aren't teenagers yet, but when they are they?
No, 10 and 8.
So
George and Ronnie. I'll say hello to them.
There they are, brilliant. Hello to the lads. And so do you worry that there'll come a point where they've got to be on social media? They've got to be, but some parents stop their kids doing it.
I'm not one to stop them. No, I'm not going to be doing that. What I'd want them to be able to do, and I suppose this is what every parent wants, is that they can still be at least open with their parents. And I know that doesn't happen usually when you get teenagers. You kind of close in on yourself, and it's your friends that are more important than your parents. But I'd like to think that if they ever got in trouble, they'd be sharing that with me.
Yeah.
I always say to them, there's nothing that I can't sort out as long as you tell me.
Yeah.
We can sort it out.
Yeah. I'm exactly the same.
Yeah.
There's a rather good drama on. Actually, I think too good for midday. It's called Moving On, there's a series of them.
Yeah.
And yesterday I saw one. I took the car to the garage, and it was on in the waiting room. And it was. And it was that good. I went home and I downloaded them all onto the Sky box.
Yeah.
And we were watching them last night, and there was a thing with a woman whose son wanted to go on holiday with his girlfriend, and he was only 16. They wanted to go to France with his girlfriend's family. Mm-hmm. And the mother was that wound up by it. She threw his passport away so he couldn't go, right? So he didn't know. He had the house upside down looking for his passport, freaked out. And then she felt a bit guilty, so she tried to find it again. And then it was an interesting sort of philosophy where we were sort of looking into the brain of a parent, or I would say more. I don't know if it's more of a mum thing or what, but I've never been. I'm not saying I don't worry about them, but I would. Me and Jan, we were both very aware that when we had children, we had them to live their lives. We all we did was give them we did our job as giving them a life.
Yeah.
They've now got to do whatever they want to do with that life. Yeah. And of course, when they're kids, you do stuff with them and you bring them up and you have to feed them all the rest of it. But if they get to a certain age and they want to do such and such a thing, my middle daughter's 18, and she still says to me, "Is it all right if I go into town?" I'm thinking, I was left home by the time I was your age.
Yeah.
So we're never going to be. You can advise them, but saying you're not doing that.
Yeah.
You can't say that.
You can't, and actually they won't listen to you.
No.
There's a famous saying that your children come through you, but not for you.
Yeah.
You can only really have a little bit of. There's never control. If you try and control anyone, you're onto a hide into nothing, because you're going to cause yourself more problems than as well as that person. And actually taking choice out of people's. I know someone who was all his life was his parents chose what GCSEs he should take, his A-levels he should take. They advised him on what job he should have. They've been in control of his whole life. And actually, what's happened to him now is he can't make a decision for himself, and he actually had a bit of a nervous breakdown because he'd never been allowed to take his own path.
Yeah.
I think it's important to let them have that.
Because also as well, when parents say, if he turns out to be gay, I'll disown him, right? And you think to yourself, well, at what point are you going to take responsibility for, in your mind, making a gay person? Because then, it is...
I know
you can't just take the praise for if they become a banker or have a really good job. You can't just say my son's great, and if something happens that you're not keen on, go, I disown you. That is the most arrogant aspect of being a parent I've ever heard.
I think being a parent can teach you one really important lesson in life, and that's unconditional love. And unconditional love has no conditions to it. You love them no matter what they do.
Yeah.
That's a very... Not many people manage that as parents. It's a very hard thing to do, is to love them but let them go.
Yeah.
And luckily I haven't had to do that yet because they're only 10 and 8.
Yeah.
But to allow them to make their own mistakes. I've made my mistakes.
Yeah.
In life, and I've learned from them.
Yeah.
And if anyone had tried to protect me from those mistakes or, guide me in any way, I wouldn't have learned them, and I wouldn't be where I am. So
you wouldn't have listened. You probably wouldn't listen to your mum and dad, and you might have listened to your friends.
I wish I had, because they wanted me to. Well, my dad wanted me to be a barrister. I kind of wish I had listened to him.
You would have been good as that.
Instead of wandering off it. But they said, I wanted to be an actress, and they said trying to stop you from being an actress was like trying to stop a moving train. It was never going to happen.
No.
I absolutely knew that that's what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And look at me now.
And of course, philosophy tells you if you didn't do that, you wouldn't be where you are, and you wouldn't have your family.
Exactly.
So you've got to take everything, and use it all.
Yeah.
And not regret anything.
Je ne regrette rien.
Yeah. Perfect. Listen, mate, we're going to have to leave it there because the football is beckoning.
Oh, well, I hope they do well. Fingers crossed for Wrexham.
They will do well.
They will.
They always do well, Wrexham. Zib, it has been absolutely a treat beyond compare.
Fantastic.
I can't believe,
Andy.
because before today's show I thought 2.5 hours and I don't know what we're going to talk about, and here we are 2.5 hours later, and
we don't know what we've talked about.
And I don't have a clue what we're talking about. We'll have to listen again. You can listen again to this interview, by the way. Go to Calon FM webpage and go to the listen again section. This is the Stage and Screen show, and it's been with Zib Guest today. Have I got your name right?
Yep. And if you want to hear, get in touch, it's www.forwardandthrough.com.
There you go. Perfect.
Calon FM on 105 FM. Community radio at its best.
Party people in this here spot. You better get on up, because it's time to rock.
So there you go. Thanks ever so much for your company this afternoon, and thanks again to Zib. What a great show that was. You'll have to come in again very, very soon, Lady Jane. There she is. She's nodding. She's going to say forget that. She'll be halfway home and saying never again. But I'll be back this time next week to do it all over again. It's the Stage and Screen show. Don't forget it. It's me, Andy Snowden. Take it easy on yourselves. See you next week. Au revoir, au revoir, toodle pip. Take care. Bye-bye.
And every breath that I get on my lung, and you can take it like a rhythm and a rhythm and adrenaline disseminating lingo. Then I'm bringing in a synonym and many men and women to the